This is an introductory tutorial into using Adobe Illustrator. Adobe Illustrator is a vector drawing tool. It's very different from using Photoshop, so I'm going to do a little introduction. We're going to do an animal drawing, and so we're going to start by finding a photo of an animal that we want to trace. So I'm going to look something up. I'm going to find an image of any animal. I'm going to look in Google, and I searched for a panda photo. Okay, and I like this photo, so I'm actually going to right click or control click on it and save image as, and I'm going to make sure I know where I save it, so I'm going to save it to my documents. Now I'm going to go ahead and go down to the toolbar at the bottom. Next to the Photoshop icon there's a goldish and brown icon that says AI. That is Adobe Illustrator. That's the one you want to open. One of the things that's confusing about Adobe Illustrator is that when you open it, there's actually nothing. It looks like the program hasn't opened, like there's something wrong with it, because most of the programs we use already have a some blank white space for you to work on. Adobe Illustrator doesn't do that. We actually have to make a new one. So we're going to go up to File, click New. And in terms of size, I would just go to Print, that's fine, and hit OK. Alright, so this is like a standard size piece of paper. Now the first thing I want to do is actually get my photo of my animal into Illustrator. So I'm going to do File, Place. You'll notice some of the functions are the same. Here's my photo as Photoshop. The company that makes Photoshop also makes Illustrator, so it's kind of nice because some of the functions are the same. That being said, a lot of the things about this program are different. What I just did was I just scaled my image down to fit on the white space. If you click on the corner and drag, holding Shift, that'll keep it from getting squashed like this. You don't want that, so if you hold Shift and drag, that will help. So we're just going to use the photo as sort of a tracing image. So what I want to do is go over to my layers. This is just like in Photoshop, and I'm going to double click to rename this layer, and I'm going to call this my photo. And I'm actually going to lock this layer by clicking next to the eyeball. There's this empty box. That's the lock. So if I lock that, I won't accidentally click on it. See, I can't do anything. Now I'm going to go to create a new layer. This looks a lot like Photoshop, and this is going to be my drawing. So I'm going to just change this to drawing. Alright, so drawing in Illustrator, there's a couple different ways to do it. You might notice there's a pencil and a paintbrush. I don't want you to use either of those right now. I know that these look familiar and you're familiar with them from Photoshop, but actually if using these will actually confuse you, I think, to start out with, because vector drawing is very different. Vector drawing is based on points and lines. So let me show you an example. Here's the shape tool. So I have a rectangle. I can click and drag the rectangle. And what happens is, first of all, this is always confusing. If I keep clicking and dragging, like let's say I wanted to resize this one, but I just keep drawing rectangles. So I'm still on the rectangle tool. If I want to resize it or move it, I have to click on the black selection tool, arrow here up the top. Now I can click on this and I can drag it. Now every shape in Illustrator is composed of the fill and the stroke or the outline. Right now this is a white box with a black stroke. You'll notice the images here. This box with the hole in the middle is the stroke. If I double click on that, I can change the stroke to any color that I want. And if I click on the solid white box here, I can double click on that and I can make the inside of my box any color I want. So now I have a hot pink box with a blue stroke. Problem is my stroke is so thin it's hard to see against this color. So if I click on the box, up at the top here you'll see some options. It allows me to change the thickness of the stroke or the weight. So I'm going to click the up button so that I make it thicker, and now you can see much better this outline. If you want the stroke or the fill to go away, all you have to do is go down here, look down here. You'll notice there's three little buttons under where you select the fill and stroke colors. the one you want to select if you don't want a fill would be none, the one with the red slash. And the same goes for the stroke. If you don't want a stroke, you bring that to the front and then you hit the slash, and now this box has no stroke. So that's the very basics of working with Illustrator. You can use any of the shape tools. So you could start by trying to trace your animal with basic shapes, but in another tutorial I show you how to start customizing those shapes into something that looks a little bit more like your actual creation. Now as you're working, one thing you can do to check your progress, I'm going to actually make this the stroke so I can see through it, and I'm going to make it a little thicker. What I can actually do if I want to see just my drawing, I'm going to click the eye and hide the photo, and all I can see is now is the shape that I drew on my drawing layer. I'm going to turn it back on though, because I'm going to continue working and building my animal using shapes. That is all for this tutorial. You can watch the next video to learn more.